Man, what a letdown.
Seriously, it's one of the worst fights I've seen in a while. After all that anticipation.
I expected a lot more from Hayes, but
Me too.
let me go set up. Check on dinner.
All right, I'm gonna get some pizza. Oh my god.
Dinner's ready.
Welcome to Boxing During Dinner
Stop! This is the championship round.
You know what? 4th of July edition. There's nothing more patriotic than women.
Somebody made a comment on one of our videos last week or something like that. That what would be better than food, boxing, and women? I just realized we finally found our successful method. This is it. These are the three things that.
So as I was saying before I was interrupted, Boxing During Dinner episode 12.
The championship round.
And the 4th of July edition, which is why I'm like Don King. I should have a Puerto Rican flag so I could go, Viva Puerto Rico!
Oh my
Viva
god.
Puerto Rico!
Unbelievable.
So yeah, I'll put down my props.
Yeah.
David, Boxing During Dinner episode 12, man. Did you think we'd make the 12 rounds?
We knew. No, we proud to also announce we had over 450 views within our first week of our last episode, which maybe half of those might be us, but that's all right. We're making progress. And we got some good food here tonight from Domino's Pizza.
Domino's Pizza? We
got one on my plate already.
Here.
I dampened a little bit. I put the napkin down to get rid of some of the oil to try to watch my figure.
And we want to thank everybody that's been watching Boxing During Dinner.
Yeah, and continue to retweet us. We're trying to get it more exposure for the show, not just for our sake, but for the sport of boxing. We think that we have something young and fresh that's different from a lot of what's out there. So if you guys like this, please retweet it.
And talking about the sport of boxing, something that's going to be magnificent for the sport of boxing after the fiasco from last weekend.
Yeah.
And speaking of young as well, Brandon Rios, who's fighting Armando and Antillon. He's defending his lightweight title. What a great fight. I mean, you couldn't ask for anything more.
Nope.
After that boring fight, which we'll talk about later.
Yeah, it was miserable.
Than Rios Antillon. I mean, I don't think anybody expects a boring fight on Saturday night.
The only way that it becomes a boring fight is if it ends in a knockout within the first couple of rounds. But for as long as this thing lasts, I don't see any scenario where it's not a barn burner. And we had a lot of anticipation for the Klitschko fight, but you could have seen a scenario where this would happen. But there is no such scenario in mind where Antillon and Rios turns into anything that's not an exciting fight.
And Brandon Rios, one of the toughest fighters in all of boxing. I mean, he not only does he exemplify that Mexican warrior, that style of fight. But I just think he's different than most fighters in boxing, because against Miguel Acosta,
who looked like one of the top 3 pound-for-pound fighters in the first few rounds.
He looked great, and Rios just went wearing him down little by little.
Yep.
He just kept pounding him, dropped him, kept pounding him.
Huh? That's a heck of a fight.
And he pounded him into submission in the fight. And Rios just became a star overnight, and one of the most interesting guys in boxing. I mean, the guy told me himself he wants to be the next Arturo Gatti. So we expect a war on Saturday.
Yeah, that's a clear path. And the thing is, he knows his limitations. He's not a boxer. He's not going to be a boxer. But he fights, and he's got the mentality of someone who's not going to lose.
And speaking of Brandon Rios,
big fight coming up on Saturday.
On the phone with us right now on Boxing During Dinner, we have someone who was a great fighter in his own right, former champion and a trainer, one of the hottest trainers in boxing today, a trainer to a feet champs actually.
Yep.
And Brandon Rios' trainer, Robert Garcia. Robert, welcome to Boxing During Dinner.
Thank you very much. It's happy for you guys to have me in.
Absolutely. Sorry that we couldn't feed you tonight.
Well, Robert, first off, the big fight's a couple of days away. How has the conditioning been going with Brandon, the training, and how ready is he for this defense of his title?
No, Brandon is ready. He's very, very motivated for this fight. He had a great training camp, great sparring partners, and couldn't get any better. He did everything that was needed to be done for this fight. We made a little change in adding a strength and conditioning coach to training camp, and it was just a plus for Brandon. Brandon is so much stronger now, and feels so good for this fight.
Well, if he's stronger now, that's going to be news for the war that everybody's expecting against Antillon. Now, he's been in slugfests, and we know that Brandon's style is to just go toe-to-toe and overpower his opponents, but But how do you feel about Antillon, who may be one of the hardest punchers that Brandon's faced in quite some time?
No, definitely. We know that Antillon is a hell of a fighter and a hell of a warrior. He's proved in his previous fights. He comes in to fight and he's not going to give up. And that's what Brandon knows and that's what Brandon wants. Brandon actually he's been wanting one of those fights. He wants to go in there and please everybody, and he wants 10 years from now people still remember that fight that he said, and this is the fight that's gonna do that. Brandon wants it so bad, and he's been waiting for it. So it's about time. His previous fight against Peterson and against Acosta, they went our way and Brandon dominated, but he wants something harder, and he knows that against Antillon that's what he's gonna get.
Well, like David was alluding to, this is looked on by many as the fight of the year, potential fight of the year candidate. You as this trainer, do you prefer to be a fight of the year candidate like a Gotti Ward, or would you rather have it like a Klitschko David Haye, that he wins nice and easy and doesn't take too many punches?
Well, if it comes to having Brandon in the ring, then of course I want the fight of the year candidate. I want the Ward Gotti type of fight, because that's what Brandon fights. That's what he fights for. He wants to be remembered, and he wants to get in there and exchange punches. So of course, if we're talking about Brandon, well, yes, I do want those type of fights. We talk about other fighters that I train, maybe my brother Mikey. Then of course he's gonna fight smart and gonna try to win the fight without getting hit. That's just different styles. But with Brandon, we want the war. He wants it, and I know that's what's gonna get him that win, because he wants to get into a war. He wants to hurt his opponent. He wants to dig in the body and hurt him with body shots, or get him with good uppercuts. That's what he wants, and that's what we need with Brandon.
To what do you attribute that extra thing that Brandon has in the ring?
You know what, Brandon just needs those type of fights. Against Acosta, the first 4 rounds, turned out to be 4 difficult rounds for him to be able to handle, but after that he started picking them up, and that's what he needs. Against Antillon, we won't have the problem, because Antillon is not a boxer. Antillon will be in front of Brandon, and that's what Brandon wants. That's what Brandon's been waiting for. So it's just a plus for Brandon. We're not going to have to worry about chasing him around and cutting the ring and changing our game plan. We have to be ready for a war, and that's what Brandon wants, and that's what Brandon needs. I think the power that Brandon has, I have no doubt that as soon as he catches him, it could be early, it could be late, it could be a war, and then finish him off little by little. But it could happen. It could be early also, because Brandon is very strong. He's young. He's strong. Antillon's been hurt before. He's been knocked out before. He's been dropped in sparring a few times. So that's something that favors us. So he's had 2 or 3 wars in his last 2 or 3 fights, and I think all that takes a lot out of a fighter too. Brandon, had a tough 4 rounds against Acosta, especially the 4th round. But that was it. After that, he just totally dominated. So Brandon is fresh, Brandon is strong, and he's younger. So I think that's gonna be in our advantage. But not only that, just the fact that Brandon wants to get into a war and wants Antillon to stand powerful and exchange punches. That's gonna be that should be a fight that Brandon should be able to pull it off.
Good luck, Robert, this Saturday, and good luck to Brandon, and thanks for joining us tonight.
We really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Thanks a lot, Robert. So that was the word of Robert Garcia, and David, even Robert Garcia expects a war.
I know.
And that's his trainer.
Yeah, exactly. And it's interesting, too, because he really doesn't want anything less. You don't get the impression that he wants it to be a boring fight.
He doesn't want it to be a boring fight.
He doesn't want Brandon Rios to come out safe. He wants him to put on a show.
I think Garcia, he's his trainer, but also
he's a boxing fan.
A fan of the sport.
Yeah.
But, quickly, I say Rios in 8.
I say Rios in probably as much time, too. Antillon is going to make it interesting for a while. But Brandon Rios has something that other fighters don't.
So that was one guest. Our next guest, who you already saw before.
Yeah.
And if you recognize
her,
didn't
you? You want to see her again?
Yes. Let's see her again. And if you recognize her, this is Elizabeth Mendez, also known as Feisty, from For the Love of Ray J and I Love Money 4 on VH1. a reality celebrity, I guess.
And
that's what celebrities are these days. They're up
if
for
you're,
reality shows.
if you're in Miami tonight, you might see her in Brickell also, but that's not a TV show.
Oh, and she was also in the Pitbull video, Hotel Room. So let's bring Feisty to the show.
All right.
You can sit here in the middle.
Come on down.
And welcome to Boxing During Dinner.
Thank you.
We're having models every week now.
Yeah, you would think that we can actually pull these kind of women on our own skill
Where are
set.
the bottles?
The bottles, models, and bottles. I know.
That's what I wanna
know.
know.
We're drinking water.
Yeah, they get here later.
We have a 2-liter bottle.
We have
of soda.
a bottle of soda.
you're
So
looking-
there you go.
So, what did you guys think about the fight?
So she's alluding to the fight we spoke
Yeah.
so much about last week. Hey and
I had
and
like
Klitschko.
this boxing boner for weeks, and then it just nothing.
I did too, and I had picked Klitschko in 5. So you know what? I still picked Klitschko, so I win. Ha ha ha.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I said Klitschko in 5 because I didn't expect David Haye to fight the way he fought. I expected him to at least give it a try.
And you would think that he would know, given the size disadvantage, that he's going to have to take chances. He's going to have to get hit in order to hit Klitschko, and it never happened until the last round.
I mean, he kept talking about the Lehman Brewster fight in the press conference. Did he even watch that fight? Did he watch the Corey Sanders fight? These guys went up to Klitschko, imposed their will, threw punches, were able to drop him. Even Samuel Peter in the first fight, before he gained like 8,000 pounds for the rematch with
he knocked
Klitschko.
Klitschko down 3 times. David Haye.
I mean, the blueprint is there.
Yep.
It's not like if Klitschko's undefeated.
David Haye.
But David Haye didn't even give it a try.
He collected a paycheck, and it's unfortunate that the average sports fan doesn't see the Victor Ortiz Andre Berto fights. Instead, they see the David Haye Vladimir Klitschko, the Pacquiao Mosley fights. Those are the 2 biggest fights as far as exposure goes this year. And on the largest scale, that's why people think boxing's dead. Obviously, it's far from it.
Unlike the Mosley fight, I at least expected a bit of a fight from this because I expected Haye to come out, throw some punches.
I mean, I'm sure Ellie did too, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I thought Klitschko was gonna knock him out, but Klitschko did what he does, and Emmanuel Stewart did a good job of coaching him through the rounds like he always does. I mean, him and Emmanuel have become this well-oiled machine. And, I don't see Vladimir losing to anybody. I mean, he gave out a list today of all these fighters who he could fight next, like Derek Chisora, Tyson Fury.
That was it.
Give me a break. Chris Arreola. I mean, the heavyweight division is a joke. I mean, bring back Razor Ruddock. Razor, what are you doing in Canada right now,
really,
man?
Yeah. Or I would love to see even Ray Lewis. We talked about this before, but the NFL might not have a season. What are you doing, Ray?
Chad Johnson, hey,
Ocho
you're
Cinco,
brave. Get in there.
Have him bulk up. It's it is a shame. This is the last thing we had to look forward to in the heavyweight division, and it's probably the last thing we'll look forward to in a long time.
And another fight that she's looking forward to, Erislandy Lara and
She's
Paul
so
Williams.
Excited, I know.
I don't think
You would think it was Gonzalez, right?
I don't know.
We have that effect. We do have that effect.
I don't think Lara will. I'm not gonna say Lara will win the fight, but like you said, he's a very live dog, and the fight's up in the air. Either or, whoever wins will have a lot to look forward to. But whoever loses, it may be the end of the road as a legit contender for them.
It also depends on how they lose. I mean, a lot of people argue that in the Marcos Maidana Eric Morales fight, though Morales lost, that he was actually the winner of that fight. So it's hard to tell. I'm going to take Kermit Cintron over Molina, though, and I think Cintron, had he not fallen out of the ring against Paul Williams, could be as big a name fighter in the sport right now as any, as far as contendership goes.
And he did beat Angulo. So with that, episode 12 is in the record books.
Ding,
round
ding,
12. Ding ding. The winner by split decision.
Jim!
But you know what? You could write us on Twitter at Box During Dinner.
And on Facebook, we got a fan page there, Boxing During Dinner. Look, Chris is there as well. Email boxingduringdinner@gmail.com.
We'll have more of the Robert Garcia interview, his thoughts on Margarito Cotto, and on his brother Mikey Garcia. We'll put that on our Facebook page, and we could put a link on Twitter as well. Yep. And you know what? Boxing During Dinner, big things are happening. Mm-hmm. We'll inform you in the next only big things.
Only big things, right?
We'll have a great episode next week, but we'll inform you. We'll keep you updated. A website is coming soon, so big things for Boxing During Dinner, and thanks for supporting us. God bless the USA.